This video is going to show you how to register for your classes and do some basic troubleshooting if you're having trouble with a class. When you first log into SIS, go to your student menu. From here, you're going to want to click on Register, Add, or Drop. Now, this first technique we're going to show you is the most efficient way to add classes to your schedule. So, like we talked about in the past video, you should be getting a list of CRNs for the schedule you want from YACS. Once you're there, you can go ahead and type in the different numbers, which I will do now. Once you've typed in all your CRNs, hit Submit Changes to register. Now, if everything goes through like this, you're done. That's it. You've registered and all is well. If it says registered via web, it's official. So don't look for a button to save or anything. You're already in the class. However, it's very common for students to not necessarily have all 4 classes or whatever they may be taking go through perfectly on the first try. So with that being said, let's take a quick walk through SIS and check out some different things we can use to find information while registering. So again, we're going to go to Student Menu and go down to the class search. As a side note, for this video, we're going to be using Summer 2020 and using completely random classes while registering, so don't pay them much mind specifically. Now, once I'm on the class search page, I can really narrow down by a lot of different criteria. Most popular is going to be subject, though. So, for an example, I'm going to use the Games and Simulation Arts and Sciences department. Once you're on this page, there are a lot of different details you can find. Off to the left, you're either going to see C's or checkboxes. C stands for closed, so that would mean that that class is full and you would not be able to register. If the class has an open checkbox, that means that there are seats available. However, that doesn't 100% mean that I can take that class. To figure that out, we're going to have to look at some other details. Next is this CRN hyperlink. There's a lot of good information there, so we're going to circle back in a minute. Then here are some more obvious things. So course code, title of the course, when it meets, and then here's a bunch of columns. CAP stands for capacity, which is how many seats are in that class overall. ACT stands for active, which shows how many people are actively registered for that class. REM stands for remaining, which means how many seats are left in that section. Moving on to the next group, WL stands for waitlist. As you can see, not every class has a waitlist. If the waitlist capacity is 0, there's no waitlist function in SIS for that class. However, this is something you generally aren't going to have to worry about or think about with your first semester's registration, so don't worry about that for now. Ask your hub advisor if you need help with that. Last is the cross-listed section. XL stands for cross-listed, which means that the course is either split into 2 sections at the same time, or it's listed under 2 different departments. This is just helpful to know because sometimes you'll see that a class looks open, but find that you can't register. Check to see if it's a cross-listed class. Sometimes that's the answer. Last thing I'll draw your attention to on this screen is the attribute column. In the Haas video, you heard us talk about Haas inquiry classes and communication intensive classes. If you want to know which courses qualify, this is where you can find it on SIS. So, as we can see here, History and Culture of Games is a communication intensive course. Other courses would not give you that designation. Now, as I said, the CRN hyperlink is our best friend in troubleshooting registration issues. If I click on a CRN for a class and then click on the title, it'll tell me any restrictions or prerequisites for the class. So, for example, for this section of Art for Interactive Media, I would have to be enrolled in one of these 3 majors. If I wasn't, I would get an error message, which I'm going to show you in a minute. If a class is not restricted, it'll be blank. So I'll move on to the next section to show you that. This is what it'll look like if a class has no restrictions by major and no prerequisites. Speaking of prerequisites, that's when you have to take one class to take the next in a sequence. An example of that would be this course. I can see here that I would not be able to register for intermediate game design unless I had completed and passed GSAS 2510 in a prior semester. So with all that being said, this is 9 times out of 10 going to tell you why you're getting an error message in registration. So let's take a quick look at what those look like so you won't be surprised if they come up during your registration slot. Going back over here, let's go through our most popular registration errors. The first is a time conflict. This means you tried to register for 2 classes that at least partially run at the same time. One thing that's nice is SIS will tell you which class is the error. So in this case, my Arts 1050 class is conflicting with my Computer Science 1 class. In these cases, you're going to want to look for another class. On to the next, let's look at that major restriction error. If you're restricted by major, this is the error message you'll get. So I pulled that Art for Interactive Media section we looked at before and tried to register for the major restricted section. Last but not least, we'll look at the prerequisite error. And that's what your error will look like. So please know that if there are errors during registration, you have the power to figure out what went wrong, and oftentimes you can fix it. You're generally going to see these errors most when picking electives for your different classes. So 9 times out of 10, if you see one of these errors, it's something where you could obviously just pick another section. If you need help, always ask your hub advisor. Last thing is once you've finished registering and your schedule is as you think it should be, make sure to double check. Go to the student menu and then go to View Schedule Daytime Grid. Now it's going to default to the week that you are currently living in, so you'll want to jump to a date in the given semester so that you can see the week at a glance for what semester you registered for. Now I can see my classes and make sure everything looks as I expected it to. Remember, errors aren't the end of the world, and if you need help, we've got your back.